Quick Take is about to start, and this episode features the Thursday night AFC East showdown between the Buffalo Bills versus the Miami Dolphins and more. The show starts now.
I was going to do this game as part of my pick six, but there's so much to unpack with this game. It's not a pick six worthy. It's worthy of a quick take where I could spend some time talking about it, not just from a perspective of football, just in general. Because, sometimes you get these games when you actually sit down and watch the games in its entirety, or you get a quarter or two, you see a lot of different things. A lot of people analyze games, but they only analyze what they see or what they hear. And when I say what they see, it's usually like a YouTube clip of like 2 seconds, or an interception, or a touchdown, or a sack, or a forced fumble. They don't watch, critical plays in the game. And I say this because I watched this game in its entirety, so it gives me a better perspective of how to talk about this game. This is not a pick six type of game. This is a full analyzation. And I try to do that with most games. Even, as I said, with the Indy and Denver game on Sunday, I watched basically 2.5 quarters, And then the other games, I was able to watch quarters. I go back, and there's not just YouTube channels, but you can go online. You could find these games. You could actually find quarters to watch in its entirety. So it gives you a better perspective. And that's one of the things I pride myself on when I do pick six, is to give you guys the best information that has been presented in the game, not based on the media or any of these marks who just pick up a mic and just blah, 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 and give you a bunch of blather for sometimes half an hour to 2 hours for no reason. So Buffalo and Miami was a very interesting game. Number one is the division game. And I always expect division games to be a battle. And this was one of them. Also, I look at this as, a game where Miami needed to win. Coming into this game, they're 0-2. They're going against Buffalo, who's 2-0 at Buffalo, Highmark Stadium, or whatever they call it, in a position where they got to win. Division game. They just lost another division game last week. Actually, not even last week, Sunday, to New England. And now, they got another division game. So it's like you've already got 2 division games out, and, you lose this one, and you're basically like 2 games behind on top of the 2 games that you've lost to these 2 division teams. So if you understand what I'm saying, Buffalo and Miami were going neck and neck. Miami scores on the first drive. Buffalo scores. Then, there's a punt, back and forth for a bit. Buffalo scores again. Then marching down the field with about 8 minutes left in the second quarter, they have the ball. About 6 minutes left in the quarter, Matt Prater comes up. He hits the field goal. They're up 17-7, and then we're talking a different tune now. He misses the field goal. It's a really routine field goal, as most people would say it's a routine field goal, but he misses the field goal. Nevertheless, okay, fine, Buffalo's defense, which hasn't been good this year. There's been a lot of cracks and holes in this Buffalo defense. I'll get to that later on. But Miami gets the ball after the missed field goal. They march down the field and score. Literally just march right down and score. And the plays that offensive coordinator Frank Smith put together to get this drive all the way down into the end zone was impeccable. He was able to finally get Tua in the position where Tua was safe enough to make the plays, number one. And number two, he made the plays. And they marched down the field. Miami marched down the field, and it's a tie game going into halftime. Literally. Tua has had a history of a bad play here, injury. We know the history. It's well known. I mean, he's only played 17 games once in his career, and the guy, crazy enough, in 2023 he led the NFL in passing yards. I know most of you didn't know that. Tua led the NFL in passing yards in 2023. 2022 he led in passer rating. So there's something there with him that works. I mean, of course, he's got Darrell Bevel as his quarterback coach, and they call him passing something coordinator. They gave him another title, whatever. But Derek Bevel, former coordinator for the Vikings for 4 years, 06 to 10. He's got some stuff. So, he has two guys one offensive coordinator, one a quarterback coach. Bevel himself, a former quarterback, played at Wisconsin, was able to, work with him. I'm sure Tua's had a bunch of different coordinators and this and that the last few years, finally settling in with two guys that he could work with. So, as I said, he scores on that drive. He looks good. Halftime happens after it commences or whatever case may be. Buffalo scores again. Miami scores again. And it's like, okay, this is going to be a division game, as I expected. Tua just, again, doing what he's doing. And, it just shows you, like, when you're in a rhythm, when you're finally comfortable, and when you're playing an opponent that you see twice a year, you got to be ready. He was ready. Everything's going. Miami's marching down the field again. They're about to tie the game. Buffalo scores. They're up 28-21. Miami's marching down the field. 26-yard line, if I'm correct. Things are looking good for Miami. They're about to get a score, whether it's a field goal or a touchdown. Miami's about to get some points and make this a game again. They've made it all game. Then this happens. Oh, boy.
Tua throw, and it's intercepted. It's picked off at about the 20-yard line.
Al Michaels' reaction speaks volumes. Tua was playing a fantastic football game. The game plan was perfect. The defense had started to pick it up. And he did that. Yep, and that's it. Buffalo came down the field and got a field goal, went up 31-21, and that was the final score. Tua had 146 yards because the running game was working too. He was 22 for 34, and he had a 65%, 65% completion percentage. 3:04 left, 26-yard line. Does that. Now they're 0-3. And here's Tua's response to that.
I thought I was in rhythm, in timing of the play. Seen the flat defender go over the top of Jalen. Jalen's turning around. I think that was a really good play by the defender. And, had some color in my face trying to maneuver the throw as well. But 10 out of 10 times, if we're looking at that same thing, I think I'd still try to work that timing of hitting that spot, and I think the linebacker made a great play on that.
Yeah, the response to that, there's nothing else you could say. He saw something, and then the unfortunate happened. Now they're subsequently in the hole for the rest of the season. 0-3, the percentages of making the playoffs after starting 0-3 in the now 17-game season is pretty low. They're going to have to figure it out. Now, how they figure it out, that's going to be up to them because they're going to have to win games. Simply win games. They got weapons. Like, they got Gordon, they got HN, they got Tyreek Hill, they got Jordan Waddle. Like, it's not like they don't have weapons. So I don't know what they're going to do, how they're going to do it. And they're just going to have to figure it out. And quick, too. Because next up is against the Jets. And the Jets, they need a win just as bad. So it's going to be one of those games. Somebody is going to get a win. And the funny thing is, this is another division game for Miami. So Miami is playing 3 straight division games. They lose to the Colts 33-8. They lose to the Patriots 33-27. They lose to the Bills 31-21. And then they have another division game coming up Monday night at home versus the Jets on the 29th. 33 points, 33 points, 31 points. So they're basically averaging, 32 points a game that the defense is giving up? They got to figure out something. I don't know what to say. And then they have a bulk of games against the Panthers, Chargers, Browns, Falcons, Ravens. Those are not easy games. And then the first week of November, they got Buffalo again. I don't know what to say. I think Mike McDaniel might be gone by the 19th. If they don't win anything, if they lose to the Jets, I think he gets fired. I'm just saying. If he goes 0-4, he won't be seeing the Panthers on October 5th. I'm just saying. So for the Dolphins, they're going to have to figure it out. Now to Buffalo. My issue with the Bills is that defense. The defense has got to play better, but again, it's a division team, so I expect a battle. Josh is going to do what he needs to do. Josh is playing with a bunch of second and third string receivers. Buffalo does not have a number one receiver. Just take that into account. And Dalton Kincaid is finally starting to come into his own. Finally. It's like coming of age. He's finally coming into his own. So that's a good thing, because I've been like, come on, when is this guy going to do something? Well, nope. Kincaid is finally showing up. He's been playing, but now he's showing up. So the Bills have a couple games, and I think they got a bye week after that, if I'm correct. They're supposed to play like the Saints, the Patriots, and the Falcons. And then they get a bye week. So it's going to be interesting how that goes. They got the Chiefs November 2nd, which everybody's waiting for, and then they got the Dolphins right after that. So they don't have an easy schedule. But that's the NFL. Your job is to win. Doesn't matter how you win, as long as you win. So that's my thing with that. Also, NBA news. Rumor has it reportedly that there's going to be an NBA Europe. NBA Europe. That is the word on the street. And I'll tell you what my thing is. Apparently it's supposed to start either 2027, 2028. The NBA has finally decided to work with FIBA. How ironic is that? Is it because that FIBA basketball rules make more sense than the American rules, than the NBA rules? I just look at it as the NBA realizes what the European game has done and how significant it is to basketball and what it's going to be to basketball for years to come. So Adam Silver decides to put his nose in it because he needs to get something going, because there's way too much influence with the FIBA game than it is with the NBA game. So I look at it as a good thing for the NBA, but I still wouldn't trust the NBA when it comes to doing this league, because there's a lot of factors that come into play. And of course, the 2028 Olympics is going to be around that time too. So do they really want to start all that? So we'll see what happens with that. So, but that's sports for you. Folks, that's another edition of Quick Take. I don't want to make this is Quick Take, so I don't want to spend too long on this, but I wanted to talk about that NFL game. I want to talk briefly about this NBA Europe thing that's about to kick in. So, folks, I'm out. Wherever you are in the world right now, take care. Have a good day or whatever time zone you are. Peace.